Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm just gonna wait, see if we have some people show up while I get this all set up. Let's see, can you guys hear me? I want to make sure that you can hear me. I was having so many problems the other day with my Zoom and no one could hear me. So I want to make sure that you can. Let me know. So let's see, I don't have anybody on here yet. Okay, so I'm just going to get my pens ready while I wait for everyone. Let's see, we're going to start out with some browns maybe so that you can see them. Let's see. Seem to have stuff all over the place today. Let's see. I'm looking for my E40s. Oh, I have one person watching, but I can't see who it is. Who's there? Comment, whoever it is, so I can say hello. So I guess we will just start out. Oh, there it is, E41. Okay, so we have a new image. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but we have a new image. This one, I'm not sure how to say her name. Her name, I believe, is Mariola Burdek. She lives in Poland, and she is allowing us to use this image for now. Hopefully we will get another image to use as well. So it's really super cute. Hopefully you guys had time to print that out. But this is what the image looks like completely. So she's super cute. Hi, Mary Jean. But she's super cute. She has a little kitty sitting with her on a bench. She's absolutely adorable. And she has little things of grass under her as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is super, super cute little image. And when you go to download this practice sheet, there should be a link there so that if you want this whole image, you can go ahead and grab it from her store. This is a cutie little cat, and we will also be using her image for animals too once we get there. So let's see. So today we'll do this one. I really wanted her image because, as you can tell from a more basic image, even from the one that I got from Aurora Wings, she has a braid right here in her hair. But these ones don't give as much where the shading goes as the one from Mariola does. So I really wanted to get this one for you because this is really super, super good when you're learning where the strokes go and just everything, you know, as far as the braid goes. By the time you get used to coloring these, you should be able to just do a braid with no problems, hopefully after a little bit of practice. So I'm going to set this aside and we will go ahead and get started with one of Mariola's. Gosh, I hope I don't like saying people's names wrong because I get it all the time. I know what it's like. For me, I don't care because I'm so used to it, but I still don't like getting other people's names wrong. So since the gray is already here and we've kind of already mapped it out, I'm just going to go ahead and start with my darkest marker, which is the E47. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in there so you guys know what I'm using. So I'm going to use the E47 I'm going to turn her around. So I'm going to start from the very darkest. Were you guys able to find this new image? I hope so, because she's so cute. I love her. Hi, Amador. Did you figure out when I stopped messaging you that I was in class? So, but I really like this image because you can just, it's already mapped out for you. You don't have to worry about it. And you can tell exactly where to put the strokes. And this is perfect for images like this, are perfect when you're learning where the strokes should be for hair. So it's wonderful. So Amador, I'm just starting with E47. I don't know how long you've been in here. And I'm just getting the dark shadows put in, and I'm using tiny, tiny strokes like this, everybody. Just tiny, 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 barely touching my paper. And if I talk funny today or you can't understand me, please let me know, because I have gauze in my mouth from a tooth extraction. So, yeah, I'm trying to hold that in place while I'm talking at the same time. So I'm really sorry. So, and we'll just go up and go all the way up into her hair. I tell you, I really think, number one, I need to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. There we go. And then it's almost as if the sun knows exactly when I'm supposed to be teaching you guys online, and it hides behind the clouds on me every single time. It never fails. I'm just going to go up in here a little bit into the rest of her hair. Now I'm going to turn her around. I'm not going to do her whole head, so we can get to the other images, or we can practice with other colors if you want. Just going to go over the braided part. But just remember, tiny, tiny, tiny strokes. Or flicks. Sorry, I keep calling them strokes instead of flicks. And you just come around the braid, going down as well. But see, this is so nice, knowing exactly where to put your flicks for the dark part of the, because it only goes in so far as well, so you can even see where the highlight is supposed to go. So that's super nice. I absolutely love it. And it's perfect. And you'll see it'll start really coming together once we get some of the other colors in there. So we want to bring that out a little bit more. You want one, Meadow? You want one of her to color? Sure. Meadow's in here too, everybody. Hi, Penny. Everybody's in here, or Meadow is in here too. What colors? You can come pick your colors. But she is also learning the Copics along with us. So we're gonna do, let's see, we'll do this one too. Hi Marilyn, how are you? Have you been practicing your little tiny strokes? Your little thin strokes? Oh, that's okay. You can come and go whenever you want to. You don't have to be on time. Do you want to use this one? So then we're going to use the E44. Hi Sherry. You need to work on them. I think all of us can always work on them, especially when they're not quite as detailed as these ones. So now for the E44, and I'm just going in about halfway from the E47 and just barely, I mean like little tiny small again. Okay, just barely pulling it out. This is where those thin, fine flicks, or strokes, if you hear me call them strokes, because I usually try to think of my pen as a paintbrush. So that's why you will catch me saying strokes sometimes. So, but this is, hair is one of the best things to practice with the teeny tiny strokes, because that's where it comes in. See, there I go calling it strokes again. But that's where the tiny flicks come in handy the most, is the hair. And tiny images too. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it around so I can get the other side, because you always want it when you're doing hair, you always want to come from the top and from the bottom, because that's how you're going to get your contrast in there without having to draw it all out. So now I'm coming from the bottom, because I just did the tops on one side. I just realized I didn't do the other side. I only did the one side, so I'll have to go back and do those again. That's good. I'm glad you're practicing, Marilyn. Practicing is what I do every day, even while I'm just coloring normal stuff. Doesn't matter how long you've been coloring, you're still practicing. So there's not going to be a whole lot to this braid as far as using a ton of colors, because braids aren't huge. They don't have a big mass of hair to do or anything like that. It just requires a few markers, unless you're doing like a big huge 8x10 photo or something, you know, image, then it'll take a little bit more. But like I said, the smaller the image, the less markers you're going to be using. So you always have to keep that in mind when you're coloring something. Because if you use too many markers, then you kind of lose all your markers in that one little bit. So I'm going to pass this off to Meadow so she can use that next. And then we're going to use E43. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. Just start the process over again. Just pull it out just a tiny, tiny bit. And just little random flicks, because we don't have a whole heck of a lot of room left by now. And it's just, I mean, just completely random. You're not trying to fill in whatever space or anything like that, because you want to leave that contrast. But just small, tiny strokes. Flicks. I need to remember to say flicks. But you can see how it's all coming together. How many people got to download the new image? Did anybody download this new image before they came to class? I hope some of you were able to get it. And if you go back to the beginning of today's video, you'll get to see the whole thing. Here, I'll just show you again really fast since I'm done with that part of the braids. And we're not going to use the rest of the colors. But here is the whole image. And there is a link where you can get the whole image for this over on the file. So, but here you go. That's the whole image. Got a little cat. And then she's actually sitting on a bench with some grass and her little buddy. So I hope you guys like the image. If you want the whole image, you have to go over there and get it. So, but that's the braids right there for that image. Now we'll do one just a little bit harder. Who got to download this one? Who printed that one off? Did anyone print that one off yet? The one from the, it's called Aurora Prayer from the East Wind. Oh, good. I'm glad, Marilyn. I'm glad you got it. So this one, we're only going to use the 3 colors, and that's it. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to let Meadow have my markers so she can finish hers. And we will go with, let's see. Should we do a blondie next or an auburn? You know what, I'm gonna grab my auburn colors. That way I don't have to dig through my, well, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. This is everything that I'm using. I keep it in this bucket. So whenever I'm looking for something, I have to like dig through this bucket to find the colors that I want. Because I leave them in there until I'm done with what I'm coloring. So this one we're going to use E27, E25, and a little bit of E23, maybe, probably. So E27, E25, and E23. She has some beautiful images, doesn't she, Marilyn? They are absolutely wonderful. I love her images. I've actually been on her design team for about 5 years. So you can tell I love her stuff. So East Wind, we're going to start out with the E27. Now this one is drawn a little bit differently than this one was. This one is very matter of fact. Everything is in place. This one is a little bit more whimsical. So we're going to have to decide where our stuff is going to go. So I'm going to do some E27 here, because this one actually looks like the braid isn't a normal braid. It looks like it's going into itself, kind of. So let's see. And we'll do some E27 here and along here. But we're going to make a nice deep E27 line right up the middle, because you can tell it's kind of going off to the side here, and then this one kind of comes out this way. Let's see yours, Meadow. How did you do yours? Here's Meadow's hair from that one. She did pretty good. Looks like, did you only use 2 colors, sweetheart? Used all 3? So there's Meadow's hair. If anybody was interested in how she was doing, she's doing pretty good. Do you want this one now?
I'm going to finish her.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at doing this one. And just small, thin strokes, as thin as you can get them. Because this image isn't very big. but this is definitely a different kind of braid. It's not a traditional braid, but it's something to practice on, and we will do really good at it once we practice. So this comes all the way back up, and I'm going to draw the big line here in the center to kind of give that contrast some help. And if you'll notice, when I'm coloring, I'm not following all the in-between lines either. You don't always have to follow the lines. You can always kind of do what your mind sees and what you want to do. Okay, so we have that part. Now we're going to use the E25. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Marilyn said that you did an excellent job, Meadow.
Thank you.
So we're going to go in with the E25, and we're going to do the same thing, just small, tiny flicks, as small as you can get them, and just tiny, tiny strokes, or flicks, short flicks. I think flicks is going to have to be my Pee Wee Herman word for the day, so I can remember to say it. Here we go. Now this is, like I said, it's going to be very, very small. Again, I'm just doing like tiny, tiny, tiny flicks. That way I can make sure to leave room for contrast, and I can make sure that I'm leaving room so that it actually looks like strands of hair. And that's, again, now we're going to go from the bottom. Or I am. You can if you're there with me. And it's okay to go out of the line of the braid because the rest of her hair is going to get done someday too. So it's okay to do that. By the time we're done, you should be able to see how the braid looks with all the tiny, tiny strokes with the contrast. There we go. I don't think I missed any this time. Nope. So now we're going to go on to E23, and we're going to do the tiny strokes in between, and they're just going to be random, because this is going to be the color that you use for your contrast. And you don't have to color it all in. You can leave some white if you want to, or if you don't want to, whatever you choose to do. Like I've always said, coloring is personal preference, 100%. So, but now you can start to see the braid for what it is completely, with all the different strokes and the highlights and the lowlights. And with this one, you could probably even go in again, because this one doesn't have that gray shading like this one did. But you could probably even go in a little bit more after you've got this done with the E27, and I'll show you what that looks like if you decide to do that. Because like I said, if you go over stuff with a lighter color, it's going to dilute your darkest color. I'm just going to do the top three so you can see the difference. But that way you get that deeper shadow that you may or may not want by going back in. And then there is that braid. There we go. So after we're done here today, I am going to go ahead and put up another poll. I mean, I still have a few lives that are scheduled and stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll to see what else you guys want. I know we need to go over clothes and stuff like that, but I don't want to bombard you guys or overwhelm you guys. If you guys want to practice more stuff with hair, more stuff with skin, whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that we're getting enough practice, because we don't have to go over everything like bam all at once. We can practice, practice, practice. Not a problem. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use these colors again, because looking on my screen, it looks like you're really able to see these colors while I'm coloring. So that's nice. I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, and sometimes I think the blonde you can't always see. So I'm going to go ahead and put these down again. Now this one kind of goes out of the box a little bit because I wanted, her braid is super duper long, and I wanted y'all to be able to go all the way to the end with this one if you wanted to. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the numbers on this side. E27, E25, and E23. So this braid is even smaller than this braid, but it's still the traditional braid like this one. So this braid, you're going to get to practice this, but without all the nice gray shading that this one has. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my E27. And there's a few little lines in this one's hair, not many, but a few. So I'm just going to start on the one side. That way I'm not flipping back and forth. Plus sometimes it's easier if you just start on the one side so you know where you're doing and where you're going, and just take it section by section. And you could even, if you wanted to, you could even make it even easier on yourself and do it literally just one tiny section at a time. So if I did that, I could just go like that with my E27, get that one section done. Go with my E25 and pull that E27 out a little. And do it again on the top. And then go in with my E23. And pull that out. And then that one section is done. And you could literally just do one little tiny section at a time instead of going all the way down, so you don't lose yourself or lose where you're at. So if you feel that you've got it, then I would just go ahead and go all the way down. If you don't, like you feel like you need to learn the separation of the braid a little bit more, then I would just go ahead and you can just do section by little tiny section. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And it can actually help you get used to exactly where your shadows need to be and where they don't need to be. But one thing about the braid, it'll also get you used to doing the up, you know, starting from the top and going to the bottom and having it come from both sides, so you get that beautiful contrast in the center of where it needs to be. So it's a matter of what's comfortable for you and what you want to do. But even down here on the end, it's still going to be top and then come up from the bottom. And that's how the top of her hair would be too. So like the top of her hair, we would come from here little tiny strokes. And then we would go ahead and go from this side but when you're doing it this way, that's where you get that nice contrast in the center. So you don't have to draw lines or try and figure out where the circle is or anything like that. You can just draw it how you see it. And granted, it's not always going to go this way either if you are doing it, if your sun is coming from a different side. So like I'm not going to have a circle or like a deep, big, huge like this. Like, so if the sun's coming this way, I'm not going to have a huge thing of contrast on this side. This side's going to be a lot darker because the sun's not going to be hitting it. So you're going to have more contrast on this side. But don't worry, don't worry. I don't want to freak you out. Don't worry about the sun right now or where your light and your shadows is at. We will have a totally different class for that. So, because I know that can be like really hard. Plus it depends on what kind of coloring you like to do. Some people like to color to where it looks more realistic. Some want to do like the cutesy cartoony stuff. So it seriously just depends on where you want, what type of, or not where you want, but what kind of coloring you want to do. And I'm sorry, I'm going into her ear because I'm not worried about her ear at this point. And even this, I'm not going all the way back unless I'm trying to get some of this white up in here. So, and we'll just go ahead and do the rest of her braid. And I'm just going to do all the down for right now. And you guys know I'm a puller, so that's why I'm rotating back and forth. Meadow, can you turn the heater off, please? Thank you. Yes, it's supposed to be, how hot is it out, Meadow? 73 degrees outside. And I'm in here with sweats and a heater. You guys will learn I love the heat and the sun. I don't do well with cold. So now I'm going to flip this around. And I'm still on E25. And it's fun when you have like the smaller little tiny flicks. It might feel like it's taking forever, but it's nice because you get a nicer result. At least to me. I know my opinions might not be the same as yours. So there is the E25. We're all done with that one. Now we're going to head back to the E23. And I'll go ahead and do her hair up here. Which just looks like a Greek tragedy mess right now. And I'm just going to do this little piece. And again, just random flicks. And one thing I'm doing too so that her hair looks more rounded is I'm flicking in a round. I'm not just straight. One thing you can do is when you're coloring, if you want your shape to look round, kind of go in a rounded shape. Even if it's small, you can still kind of go in a like a little tiny rounded shape. Okay, like a little half circle. And that will give the stroke of your pen will give the appearance of roundedness like you want, instead of it just being straight. So there's her hair. Now we're going to go ahead and do the rest, but it's just going to be very tiny, not a whole lot of just little tiny flicks. Amador, what did you say to me earlier? It's the tiny things that make you happy, or the little things that make you happy? It's tiny flicks that make me happy. Plus, I feel like, for me, I feel like I can control what I'm doing a little bit more with smaller flicks instead of big long flicks, because with my shaky hands, yeah, no. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of her hair so you can see what I was talking about before. I'm going to use the E27, and you can tell that this kind of tucks, this is tucking under right here. So this is going to be darker than anything else on her head, because that is definitely not getting any sunlight. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some tiny flicks in there. And I will go ahead and put some flicks down here in her hair. Again, using those rounded type strokes, flicks. And I'm starting at the top, and then I'm going to the other side and coming from the bottom. Now remember, I said my sun was going to come this way. So this side is not going to get very much sun. And if it does, it's going to be towards the top of her head, not down low like this one. Well, practice. I know you're a fat flicker, Amador, but you got to practice your thin flicks. Don't press down so hard on your pen, sweetheart. Most people start out fat flickers. I used to be a fat flicker. Meadow's over here laughing at me, just so y'all know. So tiny flicks on that side. Thank you, Marilyn. I'm glad it looks real. That's what the nice thin flicks do for you. So this side, coming from the bottom, the E25, I'm going to come up a little bit more towards the top. So you can see how this section is on the side, because that's where my sun is hitting, and then this is all towards the top. But this right here that's not getting any sun, I'm going to go in there with my E25, and this I'm going to color just that part, and then I'm going to go in with my E23 and I will finish out this little curly hair she has hanging down. And this I'm not doing flicks. This I'm straight up just coloring in. I did not flick that one little bit, not this either. See, and we'll color her little tiny, tiny eyebrows. So this is gonna be, again, the curved, thin, very light, no pressure on my pen, kind of a flick. And it's just random. I'm not trying to do it, I'm just trying to get it to where I have the type of contrast that I want and I think looks good. So there is her hair. So we have about 20 more minutes. Do you guys want me to finish her hair or her hair? Try a different color? What would you guys like me to do? And just so you guys know, I'm still working on that hex chart that I told you guys about. It's just taking me a little while, but I will have it to you. Hopefully by the end of next weekend, I will have it done. I'll make Meadow remind me to make sure I get it done. So you guys haven't caught up with me yet. This delay, it's a killer. So I guess I'll go ahead and do this one unless you guys tell me different here in a second. Thank you, Marilyn. I think you're talking about this one. I'm pretty sure you're talking about this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my E27. And I'm going to do her bangs while I wait to see if you guys want me to do something different. And this is just small thin strokes again. And I'm just doing the dark that would be coming out from underneath her braid. Now I'm going to turn it around so I can get the tips of her braid, or not her braid, her bangs. And we'll just, let's see, that one's coming up a little bit like that. Okay, and then it looks like this one is coming out a little bit like so. And then she has hair coming down this way. Okay. Choose the one okay, I'm glad I decided to do this one then. This one, this hair can be a little bit more complicated with the way that it's drawn because there's a whole lot of different things going on with this hair. So, and then we have this coming down over here. And see, and this is where when I've told you to go in with the lighter color for your blueprint, this is where that comes handy because like right here, I almost colored the ribbon that is coming off of this flower. So does anybody have any questions about braids or have any, like, do you want me to go over them again? Do you have any questions? Is there an image you need help with? Sherry, you're the one who is really happy about me going over braids. What have you been having problems with, honey? So we're going to come their face here. And then it looks like she's got this coming off over here. We can just do some longer strokes there because that's a big chunk of hair to cover. And then this piece is going up over this way. But can you see all the different angles and things that the hair is coming from now that we're getting it all filled in? Because like even this one is coming out over this way. And then there's an area of dark here while this comes out. And this comes out over the side. So that's pretty much, when I'm coloring, that's pretty much what I will do to get everything mapped out. I'll do it with, usually with the lightest color first. That way I don't, if I make a mistake, I can get it fixed without having to chop their heads off or something. Meadow's laughing at me again, you guys. She knows my tendencies of chopping off the images, so I don't have to redo the good parts. Amador, you know about me too doing that. Let's see, Margie knows I'm new with Copics. Why do I have tape on mine? Mine is because I'm stingy. The tape is because I'm stingy. So if I go to classes or have people over for classes, we know whose markers are whose so that they don't get mixed up. I'm really not that stingy. It's just, it's a joke. So, but it's just so that we don't get our markers mixed up. This one is old and I didn't get around to changing that one. So that's what it used to be. That's the only stuff that's still on there. So now I'm going to do the E25. And go around her head. But if you don't have anybody in your house, or you're not going to anybody's, you know, going to anybody's house to use your markers, then you don't have to have that on there. But yeah, it's just so you don't get your markers mixed up with someone else's. My daughter actually has some of her own markers, so she has her own washi tape too. What is your washi tape, Meadow? Purple or something?
Pink.
Pink?
Pink and blue.
Most of the time she just likes to use mine though, because she has most of Chow, or she has the square original ones, because I handed mine down to her as I started getting the sketch ones, because I actually started out with the original marker type, the square ones. I didn't start out with just the sketch. So we're going to come around here. This is one that I would definitely, with all the different angles that her hair is coming from, this is definitely one that I would go back in and do the E27 so that I could make sure I got that contrast nice and bright versus the low lights of the shadows. Let's see, and we're gonna go in here. This is usually when I get lost too and forget to do an entire section of hair. And then I go downstairs, take the picture of my card, and realize that I forgot to do half their head, or it looks like they're balding in sections because I forgot to do a section. So let's see, I'm trying to get this done so you guys can see it all finished, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. I'm actually coloring a lot faster than I normally do right now, so I can try and get finished for you guys. So now I'm going to do the E23. And this is going to be just completely random again. And when you do it randomly, it kind of leaves a little bit of that white space for contrast as well, to make it look really shiny, but for some reason I have a hard time leaving a whole lot of that white space. To me, I like the color to actually be my contrast. Because I don't know about you, but I didn't, unless it's my actual gray hair that I have, I don't see a whole lot of white stuff on my hair for contrast when the sun is hitting it. Although that could be true for blondes, if they're really, really blonde. But these days, the only contrast in my hair is gray. So, and I know her hair, I'm gonna go outside the box. I know her hair goes like all the way down. It flows really super far down. And as you can see, my strokes are not perfect. They go in every which way but loose. So your strokes do not have to be perfect, especially on whimsical hair. Whimsical hair, you can just flick your life away. You don't even have to be in the same place. I mean, especially like if I am gonna cut out an image, which is actually 99.9% of the time, I will go outside of the hair like I did here, or like I did when I went out of the circle down here, because I know I'm gonna cut it out, so I'm not gonna try to be perfect with it. And if I do, and I'm not, it's like really small, like right, you know, like if I go like that or something, that is an easy fix. You can either take your colorless blender, or you can take a white marker, and look, it's gone. It's all gone. Ta-da! Magic trick for the day. So this is where I would go back in. I need to clean these markers. I can't even get the lids off. So I would go back in, especially like right in here where this flower is and where the braid is, and get that to really stand out with some low lights, some shadows in her hair by going back with my darkest color. But see how that kind of just separates them, and all I did was add the dark back in. And then go back over here with it again. So that really just adds the shadows and shows you where the hair is going and where it's been. And you can just add it along right here again if you want to really bring out her face. And then mostly just, I put it basically where all the creases have been coming from. Like I would make sure like right here that stands out, because those are two separate sections of hair. So you want each section to kind of have its own look sometimes, not always, but sometimes. But you can see how it kind of just looked like one big thing of color at first, but when you go in to refine the images with your darkest color, you can really bring out the sections with your shadows. Okay? Do we have any questions so far? Anything? Because otherwise I'm just going to keep coloring her so you guys can see what she looks like when she's hopefully almost done. So even like right here, you could use like more, a little bit more contrast and darkness to get those side little bits in. And this would need some around the flower. And then if my sun is coming right here, then I'm going to leave that, but then I'm going to make sure that this stands out a little bit more. So you can see all of the light now. Oh good, I'm happy that it's helping. That was my biggest concern when I started this, is whether I would be informative enough for everyone, that they would actually be learning something. So, and if you wanted to, let's see, you could even go in, if you really wanted to get some shadow in there, go in with your E29 just into the very, very depths in the very, very corners and stick some E29 in there. So you can already see how that's kind of, and it's just very, very faint. Just small, like small flicks, okay? And you could even do that with the braid if you wanted to, so that that would stand out a little bit more. Let's see, we'll go both ways on this. But you can already see that it really gives the contrast. Even though I'm not going out that far, it's really giving that contrast more brightness when I didn't even touch it. Okay. So I guess I will go ahead and stop here for today. If I can stop messing with this E29. Does anybody else just kind of play with stuff and almost get to the point where you play with it way too much? That's me. I do that all the time. There we go. I'm going to stop playing with it. Thank you so much, you guys. That really, really touches my heart. You don't even know how much it makes me feel good that I'm helping and that I'm informative and you guys are able to understand what I'm doing. That was my #1 goal. So it really makes me feel good. Thank you, you guys. It's a blessing hearing those things. Thank you so much. So again, I'm going to say it every single video to the point you guys are going to get sick of me. If you guys have any questions, you need any help, you want me to go over something again, please reach out, post something in the group, message me, tell me, hey, I have this image, I need some help. If I have the image, I will help you color it. Whatever you need help with, okay? I'm more than happy to help. So we have Zoom on Tuesday at, no, Zoom, today is Tuesday. Lord have mercy. Oy vey. We have a Zoom on Saturday. Thank you, Meadow. We have Zoom on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Meadow, can you look it up to see what it is? Can you look it up real fast? Do you know how? So let's see. That way I can go over, make sure that we're all on the same page. If I can actually find, oh, you don't have Facebook on here, do you?
No, it's your tablet.
Nope, she doesn't have Facebook on here, guys. So I will just go ahead and do the reminder, but it's at 2 o'clock. I just don't remember what it's on. Let's see, maybe I can go back here really fast. Let's see, we're gonna talk about clothing at 2 o'clock on Saturday. And then, let's see, that's this Saturday. I didn't schedule anything yet for the live on Saturday. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a poll in the group and see what you guys wanna go over, if you want me to color some more on clothing. But Zoom is basically gonna be, you know, different types of clothing and what you wanna learn, what you wanna get out of it. So let me go back to the live, make sure you guys aren't asking me any questions before I go. So I will see you guys on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys need any help before then, please, 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 please reach out. I'm here for you. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Love you all. Bye.